Hello, travelers. My name is Thomas the Human Bard, and I am joined today by...
Onog the Half-Orc Barbarian.
And Bean the Rock Gnome Rogue. I'm here too, guys. This never happens, where I get to come on the special trip.
Well, on this episode of the Copper Fox Inn, we are doing an Unearthed Arcana Deep Delve. I'll put like a cool echoey kind of sound effect on that, so it'll sound really cool, like I cast Thaumaturgy on myself or something.
Echo!
Oh, very
Echo!
We're going to be delving into the dungeon of the newest Unearthed Arcana 2022 Giant Options, the Druid Circle of the Primeval. On my first blush read through this document, I gotta say, this was the one I was sort of the least impressed with, so I'm interested to hear what your thoughts on it are. The Circle of the Primeval teaches that, though the land may change over time, it never truly forgets. The land is an elephant. By tapping into the time-worn memory of the earth, these druids summon and bond with the spirit of a primeval behemoth, a hulking creature that once ruled the ancient world alongside the giants. The most well-known primeval behemoths are the dinosaurs. But spirits bonded with members of the Circle of the Primeval have also taken the form of ancient predecessors to today's common beasts and other fantastical titanic creatures. Stuff like woolly mammoths and all that kind of stuff. Working alongside their companion spirit, most druids of the Circle of the Primeval spend their lives delving into long-forgotten places and preserving the remnants of bygone eras. As a druid's power grows, so does their companion, the beast starting near equal in size to its druid partner, before increasing in stature until it too towers over the land.
I just heard every Beastmaster Ranger go, "Excuse me?
Hey!
Hey!"
As we will soon discover, I believe this is What If Druid but Beastmaster, the subclass.
What if Beastmaster, but better and hippie?
So here's...
Also,
Better is negotiable.
oh, okay.
yeah,
I do
better
like
is going to
that
be
they're.
kind of...
I do like that they're summoning their companions through the power of primeval homeopathy, sort of.
Yeah. If there's one drop of that dinosaur in distributed in 1,000, things of
Yeah,
water.
it's distilled. It's
Yes,
distilled.
yeah.
If a dinosaur stepped here a while ago, the dirt will remember that. And then you can just create the dinosaur from it. You don't need dino
Honestly,
DNA.
Dino DNA.
Honestly, though, Bean, the coolest thing is that, if you lean over to me and just whisper, "Fossil Druid," I'm like, oh, I am so there with you. That's
I'm here
so
for
cool.
it. I'm here for it.
That's such a cool idea. Sadly, this is, nothing like that, but whatever. We'll look at it. Everything that I immediately imagined of dinosaur-based fossil druid, I was like, oh, I know what it'll have. It'll have this, and this, and this. Doesn't really have any of those. But Keepers of Old, second-level Circle of Primeval feature. Your connection to the mighty primeval behemoths allows you new insight into the ancient world. You gain proficiency in the history skill. When you make an intelligence history check, you can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the ability check. Thanks, I'll never use this.
Yeah, all those history checks your forest hippies are using.
So your dinosaur companion is also Wishbone and tells you stories about
I think the
what
idea...
happened in the past.
I think the idea is that you would an archaeologist or a paleontologist. I know about the ancient world because I study the remnants of it, the fossils and all that stuff. But cool, I guess, if that's going to come up. You know how frequently your druid has to make history checks about anything? I don't know.
Yeah, and definitely not nature checks because they're out in nature more often. You know?
Yeah.
This is more like a old movie where you have a naturalist character and they just put their hand on the earth and think for a second, and then they look up and they're like, "There was a storm here."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh yeah," and they're like, 100 years ago, and you're like, "Oh, okay." Okay.
And I'm sorry, listeners, if it feels like I'm being negative about this subclass, because I am. Primeval Companion, second level Circle of the Primeval feature. Starting when you choose this circle, you can call upon the primeval creature whose spirit is bound to you. As an action, you can expend one use of your wild shape feature to summon your primeval companion, rather than assuming a beast's form. The companion appears in an unoccupied space of your choice within 30 feet of you. I'm here with it so far.
So
That's
it's like
cool.
It's
I
like
can summon a dinosaur. I like
a
that.
familiar a little bit more.
It's
than
sort
an
of a
actual
find my
animal.
familiar type. Yeah. But it's also like in Tasha's
interesting to note.
Druid?
Yeah, Tasha's have the Tasha druids have the optional rule for druids is that you can, as an action, cast find familiar, but because you're casting as an action and only using a short rest thing, it only lasts for an hour. Whereas so far, I don't think Primeval Companion has a time limit, so you could technically have both of them up, use both of your 2 turns apart, of course, but use both of your wild shapes to summon a familiar and summon a dinosaur.
This is my dinosaur, and this is my owl that hangs out for about 27 minutes.
Yeah, basically. They both use the exact same resource, but Hootie here just doesn't like to stick around. He's a free soul.
This is my pet, Dino Chungus, and this is his pet, Little Dino Chungus.
Thomas, that truly is the wisdom of this. Yes.
Yeah. The Primeval Companion is friendly to you and your
Oh, thank
companions,
goodness.
and it obeys your commands. Whew, okay, that's a big load off my shoulders. Oh, thank you. Goodness, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, if they don't say it, people won't let it happen.
Yeah. See this creature's game statistics in the Primeval Companion stat block, which uses your proficiency bonus in several places. So we're going to cut out right now over to live on the scene coverage of the Primeval Companion stat block. Take it away, Thomas. Thanks, Thomas. Primeval
How did you
Companion,
make my eyes do that?
medium beast, neutral. Armor class 13 plus your proficiency bonus, natural armor. Hit points 10 plus 5 times your druid level. The companion has a number of hit dice, d10s, equal to your druid level. Speed 30 feet. 15 strength, 15 dex, 17 constitution, 6 intelligence, 12 wisdom, 8 charisma. It gets a bonus to dexterity, +2 to dexterity saving throws, plus your proficiency bonus, and then a +3 to constitution saving throws, plus your proficiency bonus. It has dark vision for 60 feet, and it has passive perception of 11. It understands the languages that you speak, and its challenge rating is equal to your proficiency bonus. It has the action Strike, the most lame attack flavor-wise I've ever heard.
You go to tell it to attack, and it's like, actually, I won't attack until I get more workers' rights.
Okay, I see. That's not what I meant. I just meant of all the words to describe an attack flavorfully, just saying hit is like nothing.
It is interesting because the last one was
He's
like...
gonna do it.
The last one was like, Ethungrial Impellation. And this one's just like...
Strike.
Smack him.
Poke.
Melee weapon attack, +2, plus your proficiency bonus to hit. Reach 5 feet, 1 target. On a hit, 1d8 plus your proficiency bonus, bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, your choice. As far as I can tell, you get to pick every time it attacks, right?
Yeah,
Probably.
supposedly. I mean, multiple. A lot of different animals have bite and claw or bite and tail attacks that do piercing or bludgeoning, or so a lot of natural animals have the ability to just pivot and change between damage types. So it makes perfect flavorful sense to be able to just change what your generic strike does.
It also makes sense because, like, it's seeming like it doesn't matter what animal you summon, they all use the same stat block. It's just like prehistoric animal. So this does allow you to kind of flavor like the
Kinda
damage
whatever you're
based
feeling.
on the kind of animal.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of an issue with that, but I can run into that tangent when we're done with the stat block.
Yeah. The final part, reactions, intercept attack. When a creature the companion can see hits a target with an attack, and the target is within 5 feet of the companion, the target instead takes half the damage. The companion takes the remainder of the damage.
So it's basically a HP sponge.
It can, it can take away half of the damage you are about to get hit by, but it does take it, so it's not as if that damage goes away. It will lose that damage.
It just gets distributed evenly amongst your dinosaur.
And it doesn't have to be you. It can protect your friend or an NPC or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so that's the stat block for the Primeval Companion. And like I said, when I read, paleontology fossil druid, they're going to summon a dinosaur. That sounds rad. I imagined a cooler stat block than that. I'll be straight up.
Well, so it is one of those things where this is kind of the homogeneous design for summonable animal companions as a subclass feature they've been going for, and especially with like the Tasha's summon spells where they all, no matter what you're summoning, it has the same stat block. And this is 100% me, and this is my own vibes and flavor and things like that, and everyone is perfectly willing to disagree with me, and many people do. I really don't like when like you have a bunch of choices of animal. They all use the exact same stat block, but you can decide that they feel different when they're doing it. I don't like that at all. I want my choices to be different. I want to be able to make different tactical choices without just using the same generic stat block. But the problem with that comes with the problem, as we've kind of a little bit alluded to, with Find Familiar. Find Familiar has a big problem because there is a choice that your familiar, of form your familiar can take, that is the correct option, and that is owl. Every other animal that you can choose from is inferior in a standard generic setting. If you're going underwater, then a different animal will be better, like a cuttlefish or something like that. But if you're just in a normal setting environment, the owl is the best choice. And that's the problem with having variants, where it's like, like the original Beastmaster had, where it's like, you can choose a wolf, or you can choose you can choose a dog, or you can choose these things. One of those was obviously the correct answer, and that was the wolf, But I wish that we could find a happy medium where you can have your own customizable stat block of the monster that you want, that has the abilities that you want, that you feel you've made those choices in designing, rather than it's the same stat block that's just an HP sponge, but you get to flavor it that it's a different animal instead.
Yeah, if I finish off the paragraph here, it says you can determine the cosmetic appearance of the companion. For example, your companion may evoke ancient predators like raptors or saber-toothed tigers, or it may be more inclined for defense, appearing as an armored ankylosaurus or a woolly rhino. These choices have no effect on the companion's game statistics.
Yeah, and that just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, it is both a positive and negative, because I like being able to say it looks however I want it to, but also there is something weirdly unintuitive of saying, like, oh, my raptor and your ankylosaurus have the exact same stats.
I wonder...
It just feels wrong for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if, because I kind of understand some of where they're coming from is just from, like, a design standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
They would have to include, like... They'd
A
either
bunch
have
of
to
stat
make
blocks
a
or
bunch
whatever.
of them,
Yeah, for
or,
sure,
like...
It's a tough design problem. They've been trying to solve it since 5th edition came out, and they have not figured it out yet for sure.
What if they did something like this? And there's this idea, there's kind of two directions that you could go. You could say, like, maybe you make 3 to 4 stat blocks, where one is, like, mammalian, one is reptilian, and one is, like, bird. And they have
that is kind of what they've done before in certain things.
Sure,
They did
but
that
they have
with,
like different stat blocks depending on the type. Or you could say you have a bludgeony type, you have a sneaky type, you have a fast type,
You have a spicy type. You
Yeah,
have a
with the,
slippery type.
spicy,
one?
slippery, chonky.
I believe, Bean, they did something very similar to that with the Ranger in Tasha's, the Beastmaster Ranger update. You could have 2 different beasts to pick from. Instead of summoning an animal from the animal list, you could instead summon, like, the primeval beast of air or the primeval beast of land. And it was, like, basically similar to that. Like, do you want a flying around fast and pointy guy, or do you want a slower, like, healthier, tankier, beefy guy? But it was still just sort of the 2 generic options that you could flavor within, but trying to split it up into having you decide where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe what you could do is, in like this becomes more just a big supplemental thing that maybe you could use as a ranger or a druid or whatever. And this maybe just becomes its own companion material of, like, build a companion, where you have, like, little Lego bricks of things you can put in, and it's like, you can use 5 of these, and they all are, like, different abilities. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I think that the real good answer would have been, when 5th edition was published, have there be a section at the back of the player's handbook that was where the companion stat blocks existed, and there would be like, I don't know, 10 to 15 companion fully statted out options that are all balanced around each other for
that are
all being
animals.
equally viable, but all giving different animals, and being broad enough where it's like, sure, you can use the eagle, but say it's a falcon, whatever, that's close enough. But the problem is that instead they just put all those into the monster manual as the beasts, and they didn't consider their balance against each other at all, only in themselves. So like the hawk is just balanced around what they think a hawk should be able to do, not what do they think a companion summonable by this level of person should be able to do. I think if there was a section for companions, even if it had like, if a companion hawk had a different stat block than a hawk in the monster manual, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
But if there was a companions section where they had already written out a series of balanced options, now later on when they want to add a druid that has a primeval companion, they can say, select one of the companions from the companion section, but add these things to it. And now it's a dinosaur.
It could also be cool because every time they release a new sort of supplemental text, they can add a couple companion types in the back of it.
Yeah, I
just
mean,
like with monsters.
But I think that it's a bunch of upfront work that, since it wasn't done up front, now feels like a lot to say, well, here, staple this huge section to the back of every PHP. You know,
it's something to think about for the quote-unquote 5.5 edition coming out.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing to add into the game. A well-balanced, selectable option of, okay, this version of a wolf that I could summon as a ranger is actually just as viable as this, other thing I can summon as a ranger, bobcat or whatever. Like, one isn't just better than the other one.
Well,
I think
like
that'd
you
be
said,
useful.
if once you get to like there's 15 animals and you get a variety of types, eventually you've kind of covered the types of animals that there are.
And then
so,
you can do some flavor adjustment for your personal
exactly.
one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you have all of the sort of types and you can change it up, and
the problem is that
at that point you've covered everything.
Yeah, the real problem, I guess, that I'm getting at is that the monster stat blocks seem to have been designed in a separate room from the spells and classes that require you to look at monster stat blocks. Yeah. Okay, so in combat, the companion shares your initiative count, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. Good, that's fine. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but the only action it takes on its turn is the dodge action, unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take another action.
Yeah, once again, it's like, sure, I get it that you need to do stuff like that for the action economy, but all the other summon spells, you don't need to command them to do stuff. They can do stuff.
That action,
and this is supposed to be an incredibly trained or powerful and mighty version of an animal, and it is sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah.
Unless you tell it to help.
Action...
that doesn't vibe.
For sure. That action can be one in its stat block, the one in its stat block, or some other action. If you are incapacitated, the companion can take any action of its choice, not just dodge. Weird that I have to be unconscious for it to become smart. But whatever.
Yeah, that's always a weird.
I'm just so over it. Just let them do it. It's fine. It's fine. People are like, but then they'll have two actions on their turn. Get over it. That's fine. It doesn't break it. It's fine.
Did this come up before with being incapacitated? I think we were reviewing the other ranger, and it talked about being incapacitated, and I made a joke about you just have to pretend to be unconscious every turn.
Yeah.
If you pretend you're asleep, then your dinosaur will attack without
and then you just
having.
Pop up and you're like, I'm fine.
I think that we came up with the best solution for this.
It was
my
idea, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was your idea, Bean. If you are going to say, well, it still has to have limitations because you're some sort of coward or whatever, say that it can take, it takes, the dodge action, or it can use its reaction, and it can move, and it can take the dodge action, or any action that you have taken on your turn. Or you can use a bonus action to have it take another type of action. So if you attacked on your turn, it doesn't take a bonus action for it to attack on its turn. But if you want it to attack and you took the hide action, you'll have to sacrifice your bonus action to make it go attack.
Yeah.
That's good.
That was my idea. It's like it either just dodges or you can tell it to copy whatever you do.
And that is a standing order that doesn't require your bonus action. And if you want it to do something specific other than whatever you did, then it has to take up your bonus action to go hide or dodge or...
Because it's a more complicated maneuver than just copy me.
I was going to say, just like narratively to me, that made sense.
It's just, if I'm going to run in attacking, it will attack with me. It makes perfect sense that it would do that.
It just knows to copy what you do.
We're attacking. I get that. Yeah. I think that is a great idea. I'm saying, Jeremy, you're always here, silently watching us as we record, taking your notes. I see your little pencil scribbling away, Jeremy Crawford.
He just always draws us like it's a courtroom.
He does. The companion remains until it is reduced to 0 hit points or until you die, at which point the companion vanishes. If you use this feature to summon the companion again, and you already have a companion present, the first companion immediately vanishes. Sorry, no stacking them. Anything the companion was wearing or carrying is left behind when the companion vanishes. Okay, that is the second level feature. We're finally
all of
through
that
it.
was the second level feature.
I just realized...
And this is the big problem with companions, is that they are such a hassle to write. Like, it takes an entire column of text to give it functional use in the game, because you have to address everything it could possibly do.
I just realized as well, it's so simple, but when it was saying, like, oh, it's an HP sponge, you're meant to, like, have it get hit a bunch of times, I felt really bad, and then I was like, oh, right, it, like, vanishes and appears.
Yeah, it's a magical animal. It's not a real animal.
You're not killing it. So, because at first there was a part of me that was like, that's so mean.
It's been dead for millions of years.
You are making it feel incredibly sad in these moments it is alive now.
Oh, thank you. You've brought me back from the purgery where my soul was kept. I'm finally free for but these few moments. Gah! Oh, God. Ugh! Oh, no. Is there anything you want me to do? Okay, I will just stay here.
Did I think I might have misheard through the mic. Did you say their soul was stuck in purgery?
Purgery. I thought
I mean, they were going through a legal lengthy court battle with the Jurassic World people.
I can't remember. I either said purgatory, but if I said purgery, please do a replay of of just me going purgery.
Stuck in purgery.
Purgery.
All right, let's move on. Prehistoric Conduit, 6th level feature. You learn how to channel your magic through your Primeval Companion. When you cast a spell with a range other than self, the spell can originate from you or your Primeval Companion.
Oh, cool.
In addition, if the Primeval Companion is affected by a spell you cast that allows creatures to make a saving throw against its effects, the Primeval Companion has advantage on its saving throw. If the Primeval Companion would normally take half damage on a successful save against this spell, the Companion instead takes no damage on a successful save and half damage with no additional effects on a failed save. That, with no additional effects, is doing a lot of work in that sentence.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, if that damage was also going to make it have any other effects, now it just don't.
Like be stunned or something.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. That is a very cool ability that is also simultaneously solves a lot of problems that comes with companions, especially with druids, because they have a lot of area of effect spells.
Yeah, when you're casting like Wall of Fire and Moonbeam and stuff like that, it's like you don't want to be worried about where your companion's at on any given turn.
But yeah, that especially casting from being able to cast from their position.
I think that's really interesting, because isn't
useful.
that kind of the opposite of the Familiars one, where Familiars you can cast touch spells through them?
Yeah, you can cast touch spells through Familiars, which is like 3 different spells on the wizard spell list, but so it's not a very useful ability.
But the druid spell list.
But the druid spell list has a lot of different things.
I think a few more touch spells.
But also, they don't care about touch spells.
Well, but you,
or at least
could
these
also, in the Tasha's, you can burn your wild shape to cast Find Familiar. So I'm just saying, if
So
you
you
have a
can
Find
touch people
Familiar
and range people.
If you have a Find Familiar and a Primeval Companion at the same time, you can choose which one to cast your spells through. That would be kind of neat. That's actually not too bad. I don't hate that.
That's a fun little combo, a nice little mechanical...
To reward you for dipping into that. That's cool. Okay, the 10th level, Titanic Bond. The Primeval Companion grows to large size, and when you summon it, you can grant it either a climbing speed or a swimming speed equal to its walking speed. Cool.
Okay, so now your Ankylosaurus can climb.
Yeah, and is big.
And your rhino can swim.
Your raptor can climb. Oh no.
Hey, I mean, they can open doors. Yeah.
In turn, the Primeval Companion lends you some of its terrifying might. Once per turn, while your Primeval Companion is summoned, when you hit a creature with an attack or deal damage to a creature you can see with a spell that you cast, you can force that creature to make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failure, the creature is frightened of you until the end of your next turn.
I'm sorry, does that just happen every turn?
Once per turn.
That's really cool.
It's
but
really
it is
powerful.
only until the end of the next turn. Okay.
Yeah, but it's once per turn. You can try to make somebody be frightened of you if you deal damage to them. You can do that every turn, but it only lasts until the end of your next turn.
Yeah.
But that does mean you can frighten lock them.
Yeah, you can just it's basically instead of stun lock, it's fear lock. Yeah.
Yeah, you can fear lock them. I think that's really interesting, and actually, I wish that the Primeval Companion, to make it feel more of like a dinosaur's stat block, had some sort of action that was like
Make
Titanic
fear.
Presence or Primeval Scream. That was like one creature within whatever feet makes a saving throw to be frightened of your companion. That would be rad. And then it's like it can only do this once per short rest or whatever. Because then it makes sense that it's now giving you that ability to be frightening. But right now, I don't know why
it doesn't have the ability to frighten people.
It is giving me the ability to frighten when it can't even do that. So like, what's the point? Like, why? It feels like it used to have that, and maybe got edited at right before they released it. They took it away because it felt too strong. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like there was some sort of like a frightening presence, like terrifying presence ability. And then they went, that might be too good. And then they took it out. Put it back, you cowards. I love that we can just call the creators of these cowards and fools because we try to be so positive on this channel. And we honestly love D&D and we love these creators. But since they get paid to do this professionally, we get to give them stern criticism because I expect a lot for things that I pay for. Whereas free stuff on the internet people did for the love of the game, there's nothing you can do wrong with that. That's
they can
beautiful.
do whatever they want.
You can do whatever you want.
Whenever we have a bad day, we just are like, you know what? Let's do an Unearthed Arcana episode, actually.
I need to get out some of this aggression.
I need to say some mean
that is not to
things.
say anyone should ever harass any of these creators. They're
Absolutely
all great
do not
people.
do that.
We do not do that. But we do criticize their work to a much higher bar than all other work that we talk about. Let's finish out the Primeval Druid here with Scourge of the Ancients. 14th level Circle of the Primeval feature. You have learned to fully harness the titanic legacy of your companion. I don't like that sentence for some reason. It gives me a weird vibe. I don't know. As
Their
part
titanic legacy.
the fully harness the titanic legacy of your companion. I don't know. It gives me a weird vibe. As part of the bonus action you use to command your companion, you can expend a spell slot of any level to heighten your Primeval Companion's might, granting it the following benefits.
Okay.
Interesting, right? Add something onto the bonus action to make it feel more worthwhile. Maybe it should just feel worthwhile to begin with, but whatever. Maybe that's something we can disagree about. Hulking Behemoth. The companion becomes huge and gains temporary hit points equal to 10 times the level of the spell slot expended. If there isn't enough room for the companion to become huge, it attains the maximum possible size in the space available.
Oh, that's not good. I mean, that's fun, but that means if there isn't space and you summon them in the room you're in,
They become as big as the room.
they fill the space and you have to squeeze to get around them.
It gains all of the following. So this isn't a choose, it gets all of these.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, you expend a spell slot of any level and it grants the following benefit. So all three of these. It's not like pick one. So it gets Hulking Behemoth, it become big. Mauler, on a hit, the companion's strike deals additional damage equal to 1d8 plus the level of the spell slot expended. And Titanic Stride, the companion's walking speed increases by a number of feet equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. These benefits last for 1 hour until the companion vanishes or until you expend a spell slot for this feature again.
Okay, that's a lot better than I originally read it. I thought you had to choose which one of these happened.
That is a very powerful ability.
And
yeah.
so the fact that all of them happen is much better. It depends on what level of spell you're casting, like if this is worth it or not, but that's much more potent than I thought it originally was.
What I really like about it, Onog, is that it says until you spend a spell slot for this feature again, which means that if I realize that what I had used was not going to be enough, I can just bump it up by another spell slot on my next turn and say, actually, now I'm going to expend a 5th level one because the 3rd level wasn't good enough. Or, go way up there if you get crazy with it. Or just keep doing it when it runs out, i.e. the temp HP. This is a way to give your companion
give them much more survivability.
A bunch of temp HP every single turn if you want to start burning your spell slots for it. The other interesting thing is that it is a use of spell slots if maybe you yourself are a wild shape and can't cast spells. And you're like, man, this whole fight, I'm going to be stuck as a bear. I want to use my spell slots. I feel like I'm wasting them. Burn them on making your companion into a huge monster every turn.
So you can summon an owl, you can summon this guy, and then you can turn into a muskrat.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of different random animals.
You have, an owl, a dinosaur, and then you are a horse. Just like, what is this? What's this group?
What is the vibe we're going for?
What is this menagerie? I think that is the most interesting part of this whole thing so far. I like that, the idea of just being able to pump your personal energy into making this thing a giant, like, dinosaur monstrosity. I like that idea, almost in a sort of, like, Digimon, Pokemon, like, for this, I'm going to supercharge his next attack type thing. Like, I have my little dinosaur in the fight, but on my turn, I'm going to expend a 5th level spell slot, and he's going to gain 50 temp HP, and he's going to deal 1d8 plus 5 additional damage, and he's going to have a speed increased by 25 feet. So that's not bad. I don't hate that. That's cool.
If it could do more things by itself, that would be cool.
Exactly. If it could do stuff on its own, that would be very interesting.
Or
perhaps
even,
make people afraid of it.
Yeah, perhaps be frightening.
I think that would be pretty rad, actually. I think that really that's a big chunk of what I'm missing is that I wish that the stat block had something in it that felt like a dinosaur, like a primeval presence of some sort.
Like it's missing some spice, some
spice
like garlic
to it.
or onions.
Like every time it walks, little pools of water ripple.
Well, but that's exactly the point, though, Bean, is that it, like, the thing that comes to mind with dinosaurs, you think Jurassic Park, and you think of how spooky they are in that, and it should have a presence to it that's very powerful, but it kind of feels like it's just a normal animal. And then once I get to 14th level, I can finally make it be a dinosaur, like a real scary one, you know? I think there's a lot here that is the same feedback we give every time there's an animal companion, that we all just don't like how they work, and they need to be rethought from the ground up.
It's kind of like the dual wielding stuff in the game, where it's like, we get what you were going for, like, flavor-wise, but mechanically it doesn't work, and this is the opposite, where it's like, we get what you're going for mechanically, but flavor-wise it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. But overall, it's not what I would have pictured when I thought of a fossil druid.
What are you talking about? You get boosts to your history checks.
Yeah, exactly, which is great, which is really awesome for me.
And not survival checks or medicine checks or anything like that.
Or nature.
Or nature checks.
Nothing that makes
definitely only history.
All right, that's the druid. We've got one subclass left, travelers, and then we've got a series of feats that will help any player race feel a bit more giantish. All right, which means we have this final subclass here. Bean, if you could walk us through the wizard Runecrafter.
Oh, but of course. I haven't read this yet, so this will be a first for me.
Is what we in
Wizard.
the industry call a cold read.
Oh yeah, it's freezing in here. Wizard Runecrafter. Runecrafter wizards enhance their spellcasting through the ancient power of runes. Though the tradition originated with the giant runecasters of old, runecraft magic has expanded to encompass countless languages and practitioners across different worlds. I'm not gonna lie, I associate runes with Vikings, but I guess they're associated. Is that a thing? That like runes are with giants?
Yeah,
In D&D, giantish
yeah.
or giant language uses runes, and they are based somewhat on Viking runes, like stylistically and all that.
Yeah, all right, cool. For many rune crafters, the runes they wield are as every bit unique and personal as their spellbook. Some strive to honor the practice's origins among the giants, engraving their runes on decorative stones that adorn their spellcasting implements, while others messily scribble their runes on scraps of paper. So it's like, you just have to have runes. It actually doesn't matter how they are.
Doesn't matter how they get there, you just have to have them written down.
Gotta have some runes.
Some
Bean, I
people
have to
just
say-
use like a set of dominoes that has runes on them.
Bean, I have to say you sounded exactly like the voiceover for a nature documentary kind of a
That's
thing.
what I'm
So it was
channeling.
very
That's what I'm
good.
channeling.
My brain is broken because when I'm reading runes, all I can hear in my mind is Elden Ring. And so that's a big problem for me. Because that's the, when you kill enemies in Elden Ring, you get
That's
runes.
the currency.
Yeah.
I've got a bad joke here.
It's a
Every time
rune-based economy.
Every time I read runes, I just hear like, because I'm reading Dunes, and I just, I told you it was going to be a bad joke. Runes of Understanding. Second level Runecrafter feature.
Oh no.
Your study of runecraft has unlocked the ability to decode runes and languages, regardless of their origin. You always have comprehend languages prepared. You can cast it without expending a spell slot, and the spell doesn't count against the number of spells you've prepared. So
What?
you know languages.
Why doesn't
you
it just say you're always under the effect of the spell comprehend languages? Because it's like, that's what it means. You can cast it as much as you want, as long as you want, every day, forever.
That would be too much knowledge all the time. You have to choose to comprehend the languages.
Yeah, you have to be able to shut it off sometimes, just to have a little peace and quiet.
Yeah, fair enough.
But you got like a universal translator available to you.
I like it.
basically.
I mean, as a vibe for like, I'm a wizard who's basing my magic in the understanding of an ancient language, this makes perfect sense. Like, you understand languages. You have an understanding of how languages work.
Now the question is, does comprehend languages require concentration?
You're going to make me look rules up during the podcast.
I'll do it.
I got it.
I'm surprised you didn't have it memorized, Donok.
I'm getting there. It
No.
does not. So yeah, you should. I was gonna say the only reason I would think of, like, because it would be a fun kind of like mechanical flex of just you can cast comprehend languages once for free, and its duration for you has changed to until dispelled, or something like that.
That
I
would be
wonder if it's
interesting.
just simply because whoever wrote this was a DM and they were like, I don't want to bother with just having to, like, the wizard always knows the language, so I want it to be their responsibility if they decide that in that moment
But
they
now you're
want to
gonna
know
have to
the
deal.
language.
You're gonna have to
This
deal
is-
with the dark vision problem, which is anytime you ever describe something, they'll chirp up, going, "Well, actually, I have understood," and then
I have understand languages.
Yeah.
It's there. This is we live in a post Liam O'Brien torturing Matt Mercer with Caleb's memory feat or whatever it's called.
I can
Keen
remember
mind.
everything.
Yeah, with keen mind. Yeah. Where it's just like, oh no, I literally have to remember it, so you have to describe it to me in detail.
Some really quick, tiny notes on comprehend languages. It normally has a casting time of 1 action, but it is a ritual spell, and it already is on the wizard spell list. So,
So it is something that you could already basically cast for free
So yeah, it does make more sense.
without this feature.
It does make more sense for it to just be,
you're always under the effect.
all this is doing is just saying, you know how you can normally always cast comprehend languages? This just allows you to do that slightly faster.
Like a tiny bit faster.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You can now cast it in combat.
Ooh, all those times in combat where I quickly have to
just
read
thinking.
my enemies. When I'm
What if
fighting other
What if
languages.
the true enemy is incorrect knowledge?
I mean, it is. Okay. I mean, think we've complained about that enough.
You can always
empowerment.
just move on. You don't gotta
Yeah.
sum up. You can always
don't-
just say the next one.
I don't know how to segue properly.
I know it's a skill.
Runic empowerment. When you choose this subclass, you learn how to amplify your magic through the application of various runes. Shocker. Your knowledge of these runes is stored in your spellbook, though you determine the rune's cosmetic appearance. For example, your runes could be engraved into the cover of your spellbook, glowing whenever you cast a spell. Or you could work the shape and meaning of the runes directly into a spell's somatic and verbal components. I'm going to add, or you could tattoo them to yourself. I don't know, probably.
They got to be in the spellbook.
It doesn't say that.
No, just
It said a second ago that they could just be hastily scrawled on
Scrawled
scraps
on
of
pieces.
paper.
You're just Columbo reaching into his trench
hold
coat.
on, hold
just,
on.
Hold on, I got it here
There's
somewhere.
There's a
What is
gum
this?
wrapper.
No, it's an old. This is an old laundry ticket. No.
Well, this is a murder weapon from a different case. I really should put these back.
I do like that it says your runes could be whatever, so maybe you're just a wizard where whatever you have on you, it is a rune.
You've decided it is a rune.
So, like, you have a shopping list in your pocket, and you're like, this is a rune. So then every time you cast the spell, if you want to boost it with a rune, you're like, fireball, and 2 eggs and milk. Because you have to
very
say
good.
whatever the rune is.
Like, oh, you made
For
it.
some reason,
you
the
made a
only
whipped
thing
cream.
that came to my mind, because I'm, I guess, I don't know, 3 years old, is your knowledge of these runes is stored in your spell book is just,
No.
No.
you know.
Knowledge is stored in the book.
The knowledge is stored in the books.
What about that life room, B?
Continue on, Bean.
I need another girl on the podcast. When you cast a spell using a spell slot, you can invoke one of the following runes. Life Rune. When you invoke this rune, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You can choose yourself. The chosen creature gains temporary hit points equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. Little boosts there.
So little extras when you cast spells.
Because these are all in
Whoa.
addition to the normal spell's effect, right? You add
Yeah.
You're kind of almost like meta magicking. Like you're adding a second ability on top of your spell.
Yeah, it's like you're... I mean, it kind of makes sense as to why the runes would be on the outside of your spellbook, because these are just basically flavors that you add
It's just filters you put
to
the spell through. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like salt, pepper, paprika. Like you're dashing them on the spell as you cast it.
War Rune. When you invoke this rune, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. Until the end of your next turn...
Wait, can I choose myself or not? Now I'm confused.
I don't think you want this one.
Until the end of your next turn, attack rolls that target the chosen creature gain a bonus equal to half the level of the spell slot expended, rounded up to a minimum of 1.
So a level 1 spell gives you 1, a level 2 spell gives you 1, a level 3 spell gives you 2. Okay.
And cantrips don't use spell slots, so they don't.
So
you
they
can't
don't
do
count.
that. Yeah.
So, but it does say a minimum. But it says a minimum of 1. Would you argue that a cantrip has a spell slot of 0?
No,
No.
but it's not a spell slot.
No, they don't
did.
use spell slots.
Fine.
They have a spell level of 0, but they don't use any spell slots. Because those are different things in this game.
I've understood that the whole time.
Don't worry, it's not confusing at all.
It's never
Cool.
confused anyone.
Wind Rune, or possibly Wind Rune.
We can only read to find out, I guess. Let's see.
When you invoke this rune, your speed increases by a number of feet equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended, and your movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Hold on.
So it is
I
the
might read
wind
this-
rune because they wind you up to go
I
fast.
was literally gonna say that exact same thing.
I'm there with you, Bean. Finish the text.
These benefits last until the start of your next turn. So either you're as fast as the wind, or you're really wound up.
Yeah, they
so
wind you up
could,
like a little toy.
could go either way.
Stick a key in him, he's done.
So essentially, you can either make your spells give a little bit of health to people, not even health though, like temporary hit.
Yeah.
You can make your spells be a little bit more accurate, or give more damage, Or you can make yourself go fast.
And that War Rune one, that benefit affects anyone who attacks that creature. So
so you
everyone's
basically-
attacks are better.
You put a mark on a guy, and everyone can attack him a lot easier.
It's kind of like a hunter's mark for everyone.
A little bit, basically, just with accuracy.
And
instead
Wind
of-
Rune is kind of like Zephyr Strike. So this is basically the Ranger Wizard.
It's like in
And Life Rune is like a
It
bad
actually
healing
kind of-
word.
It actually kind of is.
It kind
yeah,
of
it's-
is. Actually, it's not even a joke.
Pseudo Ranger Wizard.
Weird.
Do you want a Viking Ranger flavored wizard? This is for you. Every time you cast a spell, you throw a bone, and then, I don't know, you could have a dog too. You can just do whatever you want. I don't know what that voice was.
I didn't
was
know we got
beautiful.
Germa on the stream.
Okay. You can invoke no more than one rune per spell. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. And you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Okay, so as you level up, you can use it more and more.
So, while you have a decent amount, you don't actually have like that many. You can't be spamming these like all the time. They
I
seem
do-
a little bit like sorcery points to me,
Yeah.
where you're like, I'm going to expend this resource to zhuzh my spell a little bit.
Yeah, very similar like to metamagics. I love the mental image of the wizard being caught in the group of, bandits or whatever, and then casting magic missile on them when it doesn't kill all of them. So they also have activated their Wind Rune, and they're like, well, see ya. And then they just run away very fast. Like Bugs Bunny, just like, yeah,
Leaving a little
catch you
dust
later.
cloud.
Sometimes all it takes is the wizard. Sometimes you gotta like cast shield and make yourself a little tougher, and sometimes you just gotta leave.
Sometimes
You
just get out of there.
just don't be next to the guy.
I love the
Sometimes you
idea,
gotta
though.
cast Flame Stride and get the heck out of Dodge.
I love the idea, though, that I could cast haste on myself and also
Ooh.
gain that many. What level's haste? 4? 3? 3? So I would also gain 15 extra feet of movement and not provoke any opportunity attacks. That's pretty spicy.
just for that turn. The question is that 15 feet also doubled?
I would
because-
assume, of course it is.
Yeah.
Because it's
so
your
then
speed.
it
right?
becomes so basically if you start the turn at 30 feet of movement, you end the turn at 90 feet of movement.
So
Yeah.
we gotta calculate how fast.
90
does
feet,
that
and
mean?
you can take the dash
Miles
we,
action.
per hour.
right?
we can do math later. I don't want to do math right now.
Let's not. But it's, and then you can still, because how haste works, you can then take the dash action, right?
Oh gosh.
So it's 90
Yeah.
feet twice
So that's
with no
180 feet.
opportunity attacks. So you literally are like, well, I'm out of here. Me, me. I love that.
Well, I don't know if you could dash because dashing takes your whole action.
Well, no, you get a free action. as
Yeah,
part
that's
of
how
it.
haste works. It gives you another action that
that's
you
right,
can
that's
use to
right.
dash. Yeah.
There we go. Okay,
That's
sigils
fun.
of warding. Sigils of warding. You can call on a rune of protection to guard yourself against threats. When you fail a strength, dexterity, or constitution saving throw,
Which you're a
you
wizard,
can-
you'll do that all the time.
This is gonna happen.
You're not good at any of these.
I like it just says when and not if.
I like that, Dean. Thank you. That's very good.
when you inevitably do this.
This is gonna happen. When you suck physically, you can use your reaction to expend one use of your runic empowerment and succeed on the saving throw instead. So somebody
Hey,
knocks
yo.
you prone, and you drop a little otter bone, and it lands, and the rune glows, and you just get back up.
So, by the way, this wizard has legendary resistance.
Yeah, I was
at
about to
6th level.
say, excuse me? They can just choose to succeed on any saving throw, as long as, physical based.
But it's
saving
physical
throws.
ones, yeah.
Yeah.
So they have legendary resistance against physical saves.
Wait, how many times does it say you can do this?
So so this is one of the things that gets a little confusing about this subclass is you can use your runic empowerment and succeed on the saving throw. So it's the same thing as the previous feature.
Which means it
So
uses
it's using the same functionary pool.
You have as many as your proficiency bonus.
You can
per
invoke no
long
more than
rest.
one rune per spell. Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
part.
yeah,
Okay.
that
Right.
part.
So if
Yeah.
you use all of them to do sigils of warning,
You won't have
then
any
you
left
won't be
for-
or warding. You won't be able to use your runic empowerment on your spells.
This is like a semantics thing, but I feel like you should put the when you're like the part that says how often and what resources they use, like at the beginning, and it's like if it and maybe
it's always
just,
at the end, which is like maybe a failing of the 5th edition.
Well, it depends on the type of ability.
What I was about to say is because sometimes the rune ability may or may not, because it's like technically you're using this previous ability, so all of the previous things apply.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just for someone like me, I forget to apply all of those things because they're not like obviously highlighted to me, and so I'm not sitting here. I'm thinking of it as sigils of warning, which in my mind is a completely different thing than the last thing.
It's a little bit like Doctor Strange being like, they should really put the warnings first. And for these spells, instead of just letting me go, oh, this is such a cool ability. Oh, I can only use it once. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's also just like
that's a preference thing. Yeah.
That's like a personal failing on my ability to read these, I guess. Yeah, so I mean, you get a couple of legendary resistances, so that's fun. Rune Maven.
Moonraven?
No? Rune Maven. Your understanding of runecraft has grown immensely. Whenever you use your arcane recovery feature, you also regain a number of your expended uses of runic empowerment. The number of uses you regain can be no more than half your intelligence modifier, rounded up to a minimum of 1.
So remember that thing you were complaining about, how it's a little confusing?
Oh, no.
Guess what? It just got a little bit more confusing.
Oh no, I hate how. Oh man.
That
I'm
being
not
said,
gonna lie, I read that and I just was like, yes, I only have a somewhat understanding of
What
what
that
it
even means.
means.
Because it starts off referencing your arcane recovery feature. Bean, where is that on this page? Oh, wait,
not
it isn't.
here.
It's a wizard's feature, not a subclass feature. But it doesn't remind you when or how or where you can use that. It just says, by the way, whenever you do that thing, not referenced here.
I mean, it is just pulling a C arcane recovery without saying C arcane recovery.
And it's funny because some things in D&D we all take as like, well, yeah, it says whenever you rage, and I just know what that is because that's the whole thing. But sometimes it's like you expect me to remember every part of what arcane recovery is. Arcane recovery does a bunch of stuff. Like, it's a weird thing.
I also get it, though, because if every time they mentioned something they had to say what it was,
I don't
the
understand.
books would be so thick.
Yeah.
They'd
Basically,
type everything.
yeah.
Maybe, I mean, should we just start employing footnotes more? Where it says a little 2, and then you go to the bottom of the page, and it just has a really brief summary of what
I know
arcane
that they very
recovery is.
specifically choose to avoid footnotes, but yet again, maybe that's just a wrong design decision. I don't know.
Now, I'm saying that if they had footnotes, I would probably be complaining about how many footnotes there were.
Interesting.
So
you're one of those
duality of
consumers. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. I just
Look,
want what I
don't like
have.
how you do it or any other way you've done it, but I want it to be done right.
Well, this is probably me saying I don't know what I'm talking about when, like, I don't know what I'm asking for. Like, I'm thinking a footnote would be nice, but then the hellish appendices that you'd have to deal with, like, probably if I actually was in that situation, I would be like, I was wrong. Get rid of them.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Yeah, but you can basically, I mean, to sum up, you can get some of these runes back throughout the day, which is nice because you're spending them on stuff.
Yeah, it is nice because that's one of the problems that a lot of different classes that have one pool that a lot of different features draw from, like sorcery points or monk key points and things like that, where it's like they have a problem where if their subclasses keeps adding things that use their key points, then they're going to run out faster and that doesn't necessarily make them stronger. And so this subclass kind of at 10th level recognizes, we have a bunch of things that are using this same resource. So now we've given you a way to recover it a lot easier. So I do kind of, like, as confusing as it is, it is a very nice,
which a lot of the other subclasses handle by
utilization.
saying something like at the start of combat you gain 1 if you have none or something like that.
Capstone abilities that are just, hey, are you tired? Well, you're slightly less tired now.
You
have
get
fun
one of
fighting
them,
God.
But not all of them, just 1. Yeah.
You have 4 sorcery points. Good luck.
All right, what's the next feature, Bean?
Engraved Enmity. You have mastered the art of wielding your runes directly against your foes. At first, I thought I said welding your runes against your
No,
foes. and I was
take
like,
out the eye. We're welding these suckers on.
Heat metal.
Yay.
As a bonus action, you can target one creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself, I should say. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, or be magically marked by an enmity rune. The enmity rune appears as a faintly glowing mote of energy that hovers over the marked creature, which suffers the following effects. So they get like a little Sims.
The enmity energy? That won't get confusing. The enmity energy you put on your enemy?
Yeah.
No.
This is like in
The
Enemy's enmity energy?
there's like in a lot of video games you can do the thing where you like put a beacon on an enemy and there's
mark
like a
them,
little thing that shoots up and then all of your other teammates can see it.
Yeah.
So, Runecraft's Bane. The creature has disadvantage on saving throws made against spells you cast.
Nice.
Unveiled Enemy. The radiance of the glowing rune makes the creature visible if it's invisible, and the creature can't become invisible while the rune persists.
Ooh.
Woeful Curse. When you mark the creature, and as a bonus action on subsequent turns for the duration, you can invoke the Enmity rune to curse the creature until the start of your next turn. The next time one of your allies hits the cursed creature with an attack roll, the target also takes 1d8 force damage, and the curse ends. So it's like a little Sims thing that glows above someone, and every time you hit them, it shocks them.
Well, just
you have to invoke this every time it works. So you use a bonus action after using a bonus action to make it so that your allies can hit him for extra damage.
Yeah.
It's bonus action.
It says that when they get hit, they take the force damage and the curse ends.
Disappears.
Not the rune ends. The rune keeps going.
The woeful
ends.
curse, which
If you want to
have to
activate
invoke
the
as a
curse
bonus action.
again, you'd have to use another bonus action. But that you can still do that because they are still marked by the rune.
So if you're one of those DMs that uses like little rings that you put on minis for every condition that
Take
they
it on,
have,
put it off,
So
take it on,
many
put it
rings
off.
on this guy.
your mini would just be hula hooping like 17 little rings all over it, and you wouldn't even see it. The Enmity rune lasts for 1 minute, or until you lose your concentration, as if you were concentrating on a spell.
Ooh.
Once you have marked a creature in this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot of 3rd level or higher to use this feature again. Does this mean that having the Enmity rune uses your concentration and you can't cast other spells that require concentration?
Yes. So
Yes.
remember how we were talking about they should really put the warnings before the spell?
But
This is one of those
I
features.
just don't know that I would choose this over other
Concentration spells.
No, yeah, 100%. But there's a fun thing that I didn't even really consider. Constitution saving throws for concentration spells to maintain concentration. You can burn a sigil of warding to succeed instead of fail on those. Throwing that out there.
That's
pretty
true.
cool.
That's probably the most important part of that ability for
Yeah.
wizards.
No, definitely. But I hadn't like considered it in the context of wizard spells when we read it originally.
Somebody goes to knock out your concentration and you just hold up a movie ticket stub and you're like, actually, no.
Actually,
and the
I
movie
saw
ticket stub
Morbius,
glows.
so that'll
I saw Morbius
this
and the
episode.
cursed knowledge I was given. Oh, that
It is Morbin time.
it's gonna be too late. But if we were gonna do a timely episode, we would need to like somebody has to have homebrewed like a It's Morbin time ability.
I think I saw a couple
I-
of Morbius monster stab.
I think I speak for a vast majority of humanity, and I would rather die. I do not want to do
No,
that.
no, no. I'm not saying we review a Morbius homebrew. I'm saying we review the ability Morb.
Gosh.
Okay, that's the wizard. I think Onog kind of hit the nail on the head here, and Bean, you picked her right up on it pretty quickly. It's a little overcomplicated. I get it. You want to feel like there's a lot of options and selection because you want to feel like a wizard who's reaching through their pouch of runes to, pick which one they want to use on their spell. That leads itself to complication, but it feels a little finicky overall. And the final ability requiring concentration kind of takes the wind out of it.
Because it's a cool, the half of its abilities are so this is the primer you put on the guy to make your spell stick. But the problem is if you're trying to make another concentration spell work on them because of the disadvantage they now have on your saves, it doesn't work because the moment you try to cast a concentration spell, then the effects of this rune will end. And so the whole point of it being a setup spell doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you better hope it's Feeble Mind or something, because...
There's some cool stuff in here, and I especially like we mentioned, I kind of like the idea of a ranger wizard. There's some cool bits in here about basically hunters marking your enemies, being able to move around the battlefield, being able to heal your team. That's normally ranger stuff. Letting a wizard dip into it, cool.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is the right flavor for that or not, and I also don't know if this is the right complexity level for that.
Well, we were saying, so the classic thing is why would you want to play this? What
are
is
you
the motivation?
Yeah.
And the closest thing I can think of, and I was saying this kind of before, is you're a wizard who is but there's more. I have discovered and I have studied the ancient lost magics of runes. Back in the time before time, our ancestors used magical runes to cast primitive forms of magic, and I have found a way to harness this ancient magic and amplify my own. And so it's this either Viking or giant or prehistoric, caveman even, you could whatever direction you wanted to go. You could say that you were doing ancient monk meditation magic or whatever, but then the rest of this doesn't feel like it fits this I studied the ancient one's naturalist style of magic. That
while you were growing to huge in size, I studied the blade rune blade.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I think one of my major problems is that the rune knight fighter ends up feeling more like what I wish this wizard felt like, because the rune knight fighter can take objects and place runes upon them that basically make them into magical items.
Wait, yeah.
But
it doesn't ever
you'd
talk
think
about...
that would be what the wizard would do, but that's not. The wizard just is normally casting their spells and also burning a resource pool they have. But none of it feels like they're putting runes into things, using the runes in any particular way.
Well, and I think part of that is the quote-unquote the flavor is free aspect of this, because it's your runes can be anywhere. And as a result, where they are has to not matter, because they could be on your book, it could be on your skin, it could be on your Safeway receipts,
It's kind of like what I was saying. It really is more just sorcery points and meta magic is really what it is. Is just, hey, if you want to...
It's just a specific set of meta magic.
If you want to enhance your spells a little bit, here's how you do that.
Honestly, this as a sorcerer subclass, getting all of this in addition to meta magic, being able to meta magic something and also runecraft it, that would be hype. That would be a cool sorcerer concept. But with a wizard, I feel like I want it to involve more of the concept of using the runes themselves to create magical effects outside of me and my spells.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying makes sense, because I guess maybe that's what I was, I hadn't vocalized it. I didn't even realize that's what I was wanting, but it just seems like it talks about, your runes can be written on anything and then go anywhere, and then it never talks about that again. How you make runes, how you write them. It just is they happen. And it doesn't talk about, even if you wanted to get weird with it, of, if you want to cast these runes, somehow you must mar your skin, and you must either get them... you must
them
get
tattooed
scars or
scarred.
tattoos or whatever, and then now you are imbued with the power of these ancient runes, but it's this weird bodily sacrifice that you have to do. Or, like you were saying, Thomas, of like, you know how to inscribe runes and inscribe runes quickly, and maybe the more you level up, the faster you're able to inscribe things with runes. Like maybe in the beginning it takes a while, and then as you level up, you're able to do it as like a bonus action. You can just pick something up and like, and it is inscribed with runes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there's some interesting places for it to go, but I don't love it in its current state. And I think overall for all three of these subclasses, that's my feedback. I think they all have some good like ideas, some good vibes, and then the actual execution on all three of them is a little disappointing. It falls a little short for me.
Mm-hmm. A little short?
Short, but it's giants. Very good,
wanted them to
Onog.
be
Very
giant.
good joke. Let's
Yeah,
wrap up the document.
All right, and you're fired.
I will say it's not that any. I wouldn't say any of these fall as far as it being into the category of being like actively bad. They're more just disappointing.
They're more either at worst confusing, at best
Yeah.
lackluster.
Yeah.
In certain
Yeah,
areas.
because some
Like,
of
if
them, it really is just like a polished pass.
What's interesting is it's like, if I was DMing and somebody came to me and was like, I want to play one of these, I wouldn't have any problem with it. Because
Yeah, they'll all work.
Yeah, there's other ones. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's some old Unearthed Arcana that, like, if someone was like, I want to play this, I would be like, I really
Absolutely
strongly
not.
urge you not to, because it just doesn't
Yeah.
work.
I think my only response as a DM, if someone was like, I really want to be a Primeval Druid, I would be like, why? And if they're like, because I want a big dinosaur companion, I'm like, how about I just give you a dinosaur companion and then you're a regular druid and you just have a pet dinosaur? We can make that work. You can have a pet. That's fine.
That's always a thing. I mean, little DM tip here. Always check with your players as to why they're wanting to do something, because they might just want to do it for a certain vibe or flavor.
There might be other ways to address that. Yeah. For
Yeah,
sure.
and there may be other ways to address it, because if they're saying like, well, I want to be a barbarian, but I don't want to be strong, and you're like, why? And they're like, well, because I want to be this sort of like gentle giant pacifist. Then you could be like, oh, well, maybe really what you want to do is be like a cleric, because, you know, like there's other ways of doing that. And even if it is just something as simple as someone saying, I just really want a dinosaur, you could just give them a dinosaur.
Have,
Like
they
you could
meet
just,
a dinosaur. And they're
you just
friends.
they have a dinosaur. Just give it to them. You know,
I give my players dinosaurs all the time.
yeah. Honestly, we have too many dinosaurs, Thomas.
I
Like,
know.
they're a problem.
But I've sworn to never kill party pets, so I can't get rid of them now.
Gata is perfect. I don't know what you're
Thomas, anytime Thomas wants to punish us, we run into dinosaurs, and then we have to take care of them, and we have to find them a home and make sure that
a
they're
real-
you
well.
don't
become
want
a real Tamagotchi
You've
situation.
sworn never to kill party pets. You almost made me suck the life essence out of my familiar. What are you talking about?
You almost chose to do that. I never made you do anything.
Wait, no. Am I the monster all along?
I feel like Thomas just presented you a fun puzzle, and then you were like, I could suck the
What?
life
They were
essence
like,
out
the
of my
only
familiar.
way is
Admitted.
pet murder.
And Thomas sat horrified as that was the choice you made.
Look, I've learned a lot of things, a lot of uncomfortable truths about myself playing role-playing games.
It's always like, Onog, you could go over the bridge, or you could head towards the sea. And he's like, what if I killed my adopted father in the game? And we're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Look,
What if I killed my pet? No, you don't have to do that. Let's finish up the document. Why are we
All
so
right, all right.
sidetracked? There's a series of feats that are presented here at the end of this document in order to add some giant flavor to your player character options here. The following section presents a variety of feats linked to giants, primordial elements, and other titanic beings of yore and their ilk.
my
Some-
what?
Of your ilk. Some
Of
of
my- of
these
my ilk?
Yes, of your ilk. Some of these feats stem directly from giant sources of power, such as a gift from a giant lord or a consequence of slaying a giant. Others reflect exposure to raw elemental power or time spent among giant creatures, whether befriending them or hunting them.
So some are
For
from giant
sport.
sources. Some are from giant sources of power, and some are from giant sources of power.
Yes, correct.
It's like it was us complaining about the Path of the Beast table of like your dad might have been a vampire, or your dad might have been a werewolf, or your grandpa might have been a werewolf.
Or an unknown relative of yours might have been a werewolf. The feats are presented in alphabetical order. If a feat has a prerequisite, you must meet that prerequisite to gain the feat. Elemental Touched. You have been exposed to the primordial magic of the elemental planes, granting you a measure of control over the natural world around you. You learn either the Druidcraft or Thaumaturgy cantrip. Using Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma as the spellcasting ability, choose when you gain this feat. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can choose which element you are attuned to: air, earth, fire, or water. Depending on your choice, you can use a bonus action to cause one of the following effects. Air. You gain a fly speed equal to your walking speed until the end of your turn. If you are airborne at the end of your turn after using this movement and aren't held aloft by other means, you fall. You know, how gravity works. Earth.
Oh, so what you're saying is this gives me a jump speed.
This gives you a big jump equal to your walking speed, yes. Earth. You cause the ground within 30 feet of you to become difficult terrain for 1 minute, or until you create this effect again. During that time, you can move across ground that is difficult terrain without spending extra movement. That's a fun little, like, circle of effect. I like that.
So you can create difficult terrain, and then that difficult terrain doesn't affect you. That's
but also, other difficult terrain won't affect you either if you need that part of the ability and not the first part. You can just activate
this terrain is difficult. I am going to be difficulter.
I will make it difficulter. Fire. You surround yourself in a cloud of ash and smoke. What about the fire, though? Until the end of your turn, your movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. All right, weakest of the three so far. Water.
You can bother your neighbors.
In what way is this fiery? Water. You can create a forceful surge of water directed at a creature within 15 feet of you that you can see. The creature must succeed on a strength saving throw, which it can choose to fail, against a DC of 8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus, or be pushed up to 10 feet away from you. The water vanishes immediately after the creature succeeds or fails.
Okay.
You can create the effect a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I wish the fire one just read, as a bonus action, you can give yourself a fever of 102.
So this feels really weak for a feat. Like, any of these abilities individually, I wouldn't want. If you could pick all of them at the same time, I don't know I would want this feat.
You can't even swap them out on the fly. You have to swap them out at the end of a long rest.
Mm-hmm. So the thing is this isn't the first document to introduce level requirements for feats.
Yeah.
I believe that is Strixhaven introduced those for the first time, and then they followed them up with, what was it, Dragonlance, or what was it called? It was the Unearthed Arcana between
the Heroes of Kryn.
This one, the Heroes of Kryn. That's what it is. Where they also introduced feats that have prerequisites of other feats and level stuff, and this feels like this would be a perfect place to make the feat more powerful than it should be, but give it a level requirement.
Yeah, because this one doesn't have a level requirement.
If you're
but
going
also
to make
feels
something
not good.
Yeah, this is basically like what is this? One of these is you get disengage as a bonus action, but you only get it proficiency times per rest.
Yeah,
that's not
anything.
That's not useful.
Yeah.
But it's like, as we'll see later on, because I have read this document, there are many feats with prerequisites that are like this. Why does this have a prerequisite? This is something you should be able to pick from level 1, but this one feels like it could have been jacked up in power even more and then given a restrictive prerequisite, because that's really what prerequisites are. They're restrictions. So restrictions should breed more power and creativity.
Yeah.
More potency.
Let's move on to the next one. Ember of the Fire Giant. Prerequisite, 8th level. This is one of the higher prerequisites. So there's a few that require 8th level and then some that require 4th level. So this is going to be one of the more quote-unquote powerful ones. Let's see if it lives up to it. You've manifested the fiery combat emblematic of fire giants, granting you the following benefits. Born of Flame. You have resistance to fire damage.
Well, you weren't born of flame because you had to take this at 8th level.
I guess
So
reborn of flame?
You can't have been born of flame.
Unless, of course, you were, actually born of flame already, in which case you already have resistance to fire damage and this does stone cold nothing. And Searing Ignition. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks with a magical burst of flame. Each creature of your choice within 15 feet of you that can see you must make a dexterity saving throw. DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier. Constitution, interesting. So it's like a breath weapon. On a failed save, a creature takes fire damage equal to 2d6 plus your proficiency bonus and is blinded until the start of your next turn. Ooh. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage with no additional effects. You can use your Searing Ignition a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
So the blinded really saves this here, because I was literally about to say, why do I have to wait 8 levels to gain fire resistance and a bad burning hands?
Yeah, and a not very good dragonborn breath weapon.
Yeah, something that even the dragonborn don't have. They have the better version of this.
Yeah. But the blinding is nice.
The blinding does make it interesting. I don't know if that's, but that's the thing. It's still 8th level. Yeah. Like your spellcasters are at 4th level spells at this point. They are dimension dooring. They are doing all sorts of crazy stuff. They're casting full on fireball.
And what's my proficiency at 8th level? Like 3?
It's still only
2?
3. It's still only 3.
3.
At level 9, I think it goes up to 4. I want to say. I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's almost at the precipice of changing your proficiency. So yeah, you can only use this 3 times. Blinding is good. Does it use your whole bonus? Does it use a bonus action?
When you take the attack action, you can replace one of the attacks. So that's the question, though, is that better than an attack you could normally do? That might depend on the class, right? Because these aren't class specific. Like anyone could take these. This is probably better as one class than another class. But which class is it actually good with? I can't. None jump to mind that they really want this.
Blinded is basically a source of advantage. So basically, that's what you're here for. The damage is irrelevant.
It's not just a source of advantage, because a lot of spells say creatures you can see.
That's
True,
fair.
yeah, it's
so
also good at hitting
spellcaster,
spellcasters. That's fair, Bean, yeah.
So we're here for the status effect. Everything else is negligible. And I guess that's worth waiting 8 levels for it? I don't know.
I mean, the ability to take away an enemy's ability to cast spells at you
is real
is very powerful. I mean, in one of our big finale battles in one of our campaigns, my character essentially used a wish spell and it removed the enemy's eyes, and that was
enemy
like
level 20 wizard's eyes.
That was like the thing that saved us, because suddenly he couldn't cast spells at anyone.
That was a very messed up fight.
A very minimum selection of spells if you remove your ability to see your enemies. Because not every spell requires it, but a lot of the good ones do.
But yeah, so
yeah, I'm not impressed.
Once again, kind of like everything else, it's like it needs another bit of polishing. The blinded is cool. What else do you got for me?
In general, recently I play a lot of the game Destiny 2. And recently...
You've never mentioned that on the podcast before.
Yeah, I know, but just in case you're a new listener, bring you up to speed. And recently there was a blog post from some of the developers talking about when they're upgrading game systems in a new release, right? They're doing a new subclass in the next release. They talked about they would always prefer that it comes in too hot and they have to bring it down a little bit. Then it comes out and no one is impressed by it and everyone immediately
And no one
forgets
wants
about
it, yeah.
And I always feel that way about Unearthed Arcana. I'd much rather feel like, whoa, tone it down a little bit, like maybe take some of that damage off, than feel absolute ambivalence towards an ability as I read and go, yeah, I guess that's kind of balanced.
I guess it's a way to get fire resistance outside of your race and subclass.
Yeah. And so it's like as if there weren't enough ways to already though get fire resistance. Like, but whatever. Yeah, I'd much rather these things come in and be more powerful than they need to be, and then come down in power, than for them to be like this and me to be unimpressed. Because now I don't care if when it comes out this is better, because I've already lost my first impression of it being good. You know.
Mm-hmm. So then the question is, now let's take a look at this. There's a little experiment I want to run. Would this be better if it was a quote unquote half feat? If it added 1 to one of your stats, is that something we'd pick? Do we still not care, or is it now too powerful? If we added, like, it lets you add 1 to strength or 1 to constitution or something like that.
Even if it still does that, I can never see a situation in which I, as a DM, feel like this ability was used and I go, wow, I can't believe they ever took that. That's so broken and powerful. I just can't picture, even if this gave them a full level up and also this feat, I don't think it would be good enough. Like, it's just sort of a bad fire breath. Like, it's whatever. I don't know.
So then the other question is, if we took away the level restriction, does it make any difference? I don't think so.
If you take away the level restriction at level 1, this might be a little spicy. It might come in a little hot, but then the problem is it never gets better than it is at level 1. So it's something that no one will ever take because it will immediately lose all of its use, right? It'll come in pretty hot at level 1, I feel. And then by level 2 or 3, you're already like, yeah, this isn't as good as I want it to be.
I find level restrictions a very interesting restriction because a lot of different powerful feats out there, it doesn't matter when you take them, they are adding to, they're strengthening. You're like, for instance, Polearm Master. Whenever you take Polearm Master, it's giving you bonus power. It's giving you damage. It's giving you reactions. You know, whenever you take Sentinel, it doesn't matter when you take it. You're going to get those benefits. So having these feats that are very conscious of when you are taking these feats, I don't know if I like that design space so much. If you know what if you pick up what I'm putting down.
Oh no, I totally pick it up. I think they need to take away the resistance part because I just don't think it matters.
Ooh, interesting.
And I think that they just need to make the Searing Ignition more interesting. It needs to
just have it be like you can just spit hot fire and it doesn't matter.
It needs to be something just more compelling. It needs to, like, if you burn an enemy, enemies within 5 feet of them take burn damage because the fire spreads or something like that. It just needs to be more dynamic, more interesting. Because it's
something
just,
that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, it's just another action that I have to choose to swap in that's similar to other actions that already exist.
At this point, it's just I'm casting blind/deafen on somebody, or I'm casting Burning Hands, but I'm casting a weak version of both of those spells instead.
And I get it's okay. The thing, it's like it is better than I'm making it out to be because it's each creature within 15 feet of you. So you can, that's a lot of AoE damage, but still I'm just not, I don't know. D&D AoE damage always just feels bad.
Well, and it's...
I'm sorry, what does AoE?
Area of effect.
God, sorry.
So it hits
so for instance, Fireball is an
Yeah.
AoE, But that's the thing, is like, even if this is actually kind of mechanically good and we're just not seeing the forest for the trees, it's the same problem that a lot of higher level ranger abilities that we've harped upon many a times before, where it's like, sure, this is still a good ability, like the ability to hide as a bonus action is still a good ability for a ranger to have. But the fact that the rogue gets it at level 2 makes the ranger so much weaker for that, just by comparison. And so this is the same thing where it's like, sure, you have a weak casting of Burning Hands, and you're casting a second level spell of blind/deafen, but you're only getting the blind. But weakening both of those effects and combining them together doesn't make them feel better. It makes us go, wow, this is a weak version of this and a weak version of that at the same time. So even if it's good, our brains are going, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah. That's fair.
I'm curious what you guys think of the next one, because I've been reading ahead a little bit. And I'm trying to figure out
why. Do you think we're harping on this one too much, Bean? Why? What do you think? You think we spent too long on this one? Because we spent 20 minutes on this one feat? You think that's too long for one feat?
I'm curious because...
I agree. Let's move on to the next one.
When I read these two, and maybe it's just because for me, again, I need to kind of emphasize, it's not that I don't understand D&D. I have to actually play something for me to fully understand it. When I'm just reading it on paper, it doesn't register. So when I'm reading this Ember of the Fire Giant and then Fury of the Frost Giant, they don't immediately seem... I get that mechanically they are different. They don't seem that different to me. I know that one of them is 8th level and one of them is 4th level prerequisite. So I'm curious how you guys see them as different.
That's actually a very good concern where you're saying this one's 8th level, this one's 4th level. Why?
Yeah. So Fury of the Frost Giant prerequisite, 4th level. You've manifested the Icy Might, emblematic of Frost Giants, granting you the following benefits. Born of Ice. You have resistance to cold damage. And Frigid Vengeance. When a creature hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to retaliate with a burst of magical ire. I thought it said ice, but then I realized it was an R. That's interesting.
Of ilk ire.
Of ilk ire. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, DC 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier, or be frightened of you until the start of its next turn. You can use your reaction in this way a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
So essentially, this one is cold instead of fire, and they're frightened instead of blinded, and also the other things about it that are...
Well, they don't take any damage.
They're quite different. That's the thing.
They don't... Yeah. It doesn't damage.
No damage.
No damage. It just frightens them, and it is... you take that damage. They hit you with the attack. This doesn't do anything about that.
Mm-hmm. It's so instead of Hellish Rebuke doing fire damage, it is a induced fear rebuke.
It's weird that it's ice.
Yeah, but frightened.
Well,
what's the theme? Yeah.
And here we start stumbling into D&D kind of has its own ideas about its own world building that we as mostly homebrew campaign players don't really ever interact with, because Frost Giants are they're evil dudes. They are terrible characters.
So the theme of saying it creates frighten makes sense because it thematically goes along with the temperament of
ice giants, who are just these absolute scumbag guys.
Yeah, I know zero about the actual
and
world
that's
of
the thing.
D&D.
I barely know, but that's kind of the vibe they've given Frost Giants, and so this is the vibe you get when you are imbued by the power of a Frost Giant. So it makes sense, but yeah, it's why is ice scary? I don't know. I don't know why ice would be scary, but
it does say it is the fury of the Frost Giant, so it's more about the fury than the actual frost.
Yeah. You just also happen to be resistant to ice. Yeah.
I don't hate this one. I've been continuing to mull over the previous one, and I may have been being too hard on it because I thought of a situation in which you are a character who can attack maybe 2 or 3 times on your turn. So then you get 1 sword slash in, you get a 2nd sword slash in, and then you do an explosive fireball for everyone within 15 feet of you that also blinds them. And that isn't bad. I may have been too harsh on you. But I still am not a big fan of it. Fear of the Frost Giant, I actually weirdly like more.
Well, yeah, because I don't know. I don't know why. Once again, I'm a little concerned by the level prerequisite, because 4th level is a very interesting prerequisite because it speaks to a lot of what they're thinking about in future design. Here I go speculating again. Mechanically, right now, the only thing that having a 4th level requirement for getting this feat is that a variant human and or a custom lineage character cannot take it at character creation. That's the only thing it stops a player from doing. Because the first time normal players are picking up a feat is 4th level. So most players will automatically qualify for this. So it doesn't matter.
It's weird to me.
They are kind of hinting at, with some of the other Unearthed Arcana they're doing, that their backgrounds are going to start giving feats. Or they've played around with someone's background giving you a free feat. And so this could be leaning more into that, where it's like eventually every player is going to start with a feat because of their background, and this is one of the ones you cannot take as part of your background.
Which is fair, I guess. If that, I get that as a design concept. It also, though,
but right now mechanically it does nothing.
yeah. It also is a little weird story-wise, where you're like, you can't start with this as part of your character's backstory. You can only get it.
You
at
cannot
4th
have
level.
been born of the giants, even
you
though
cannot
that's
have had a history with frost giants in the past. You can only gain it during the game at some point.
Mm-hmm. You cannot have been born of ice, even though that's what the mechanic is called.
What it calls it, yeah. All right, let's move to the next one. Guile of the Cloud Giant. Dun 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 dun. Some people get that reference.
I got that reference.
Prerequisite 8th level. You've manifested the airy speech and magic emblematic of cloud giants, granting you the following effects. Misty Form. You can cast the Blur spell without using a spell slot or material components. When you cast the spell in this way, the spell doesn't require you to maintain concentration on it.
Ooh!
Once you cast the spell in this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Fair. You can also cast this spell in the normal way, using spell slots you have of the appropriate level. Okay, yeah, sure, thanks. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for this feature. Choose when you gain this feat.
I think Bigfoot is blurry.
I think cloud giants are blurry. That's the problem.
Bigfoot's just a blurry cloud giant.
That's very good, Bean. Thank you for that Mitch Hedberg reference.
Yeah, Mitch Hedberg, yeah.
Classic. And then the secondary aspect of the feat, Silver Tongue. You gain proficiency in either the Deception or Persuasion skill. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make using this skill.
Okay, so this is a mini skill expert that also plays around with this interesting design space of giving you concentration free concentration spells.
Could that with how it's worded, could that Silver Tongue feature accidentally stack with expertise?
No, because that is what expertise is. It's when you use these skills, your proficiency bonus is doubled for them. So it would just be saying your proficiency bonus is doubled for them when you use this skill.
But it wouldn't double it twice.
I don't think it stacks.
Because it's not giving you another...
Because expertise, quote unquote, isn't a thing, but it is, but it isn't.
No, I know, but I'm saying normally expertise says, like, you can't get expertise again but from another thing giving it to you, but that's not what this is giving you. This is just telling you,
I mean,
with no other context, your proficiency bonus...
Can you have quadpertise? Quadpertise in persuasion or deception?
If so, it's only because it's a mistyping and it needs to be fixed. But
there's no way they intended
There's
that.
no way they would intend that, yeah. I like this one so far. I don't. Yet again, I agree with you. Why does this have to be 8th level requisite? Like, I get Blur's good, but
8th level to get a free casting of a 2nd level spell is Blur 2nd or 3rd? I can't remember.
Blur. Let's pull it up here.
I always mix up Blur or Blink because they should do the opposite things of each other.
Blur is a 2nd level illusion spell.
Okay, yeah.
You become blurred, shifting and wavering to all who can see you for the duration. Any creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you. The attacker is immune to this effect if it doesn't rely on sight. And it lasts for up to 1 minute.
So yeah, so a free casting that doesn't use concentration.
A free casting, that's good.
That's one of the things that has held Blur back as like a massive spell. As a popularly used spell, because at second level there are other things you can be using your concentration on. And so just protecting yourself, especially if you're already a mushy wizard with low AC, like casting Blur on yourself isn't gonna help. In a lot of Wizards of the Coast redesigns of things, we're seeing a lot of more unique usage of spells that have kind of fallen to the wayside. Like in Monsters of the Multiverse, the Earth Genasi gained the ability to cast Blade Ward cantrip, but as a bonus action. Because the problem with Blade Ward is that if you use your whole action to give yourself resistance, guess what you're not doing? You're not fighting anybody. You're just sitting there and hiding. And so this could be one of those other instances of them going like, people don't really use Blur that much. What if we made it more powerful by taking away its concentration once and see if that invokes more variety?
I don't hate it.
In the play, and I don't hate looking at spells that go, why do people not use this? Is it just because there's a strictly better answer, or is it because it's complicated, or is it because it's a problem or to understand or something? I don't know.
So thinking about builds that would want this, your bard, your rogue, your warlock, they're all going to be people who are interested in, deception and persuasion, skill proficiency, but most of them get it to some degree or another.
I would say charisma casters that don't already get proficiency. So like a nice sorcerer, especially people who have other things they want their concentration for.
How about paladin?
Like sorcerers, paladins, warlocks would love this.
Paladin
would love this.
In plate armor who can cast Blur for free with no concentration?
Have fun hitting that, yeah.
Excuse me? That's pretty spicy.
Also, no concentration means the spell can't end early because you lost your concentration.
Yeah, it just is going to last the minute. It just has to last that full minute.
Which, as we all know, is all of combat.
Yeah.
Yeah. A 1 minute is all of combat unless you are playing the dredgiest game of D&D we've ever seen.
Unless you've done something wrong.
I'm pretty sure Vox Machina's attack on the god of death Vecna didn't last more than like 30 seconds in game.
All right, we'll keep going. We've got a couple more of these to plow through here. Keenness of the Stone Giant. Prerequisite 4th level. You've manifested the protection and spellcasting emblematic of stone giants. Granting
I'm manifesting, sorry.
Granting you the following benefits. Dreamer's Magic. I remember, stone giants are connected to like dreams in a lot of ways. Dreamer's Magic. You learn the Detect Thoughts spell and one first level spell of your choice. The first level spell must be from the Abjuration or the Divination School of Magic. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot. Once you cast either of these spells in this way, you can't cast that spell in this way again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast these spells using spell slots you have the appropriate level. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for this feature. Choose when you gain this feat. Detect Thoughts, and then one first level Abjuration or Divination spell. What's the best first level Abjuration and Divination spell?
If I am remembering correctly, I believe that includes the shield spell, which
is shield first.
If you shield is a first level abjuration spell, and if you have the ability to take shield, do it every time. It is one of the most powerful first level spells in the game.
Yep. Sure is a first level abjuration spell.
Especially if you have other ways of casting spells, but you can't learn shield normally, absolutely take shield. So this is basically like Shadow or Fey Touched or Shadow Touched, but for Detect Thoughts instead of Invisibility or Misty Step.
Which is
interesting. And instead of a +1 to a mental stat, it gives you increased dark vision, which I think is I think that's a viable trade-off, especially because it's one of the only ways in game to increase your already existing dark vision range.
Yeah, let's see. Mountain Sight. You gain dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. If you already have dark vision from another source, its range increases by 30 feet. Ooh, so you can stack a couple of them on top of each other there. There's some powerful dark vision ranges you can hit.
My Drow Gloomstalker Ranger grows ever more powerful in the night.
Yeah. That's some far... You can get to, like, 120 eventually, I think.
Well, I think the Twilight Cleric has like a range of 300 dark vision or something insane like that.
Well, now it's 330.
Yeah, now it's 330, and they have an ability to like to drain their own dark vision pool, quote unquote, and hand it out to other people, basically.
Interesting.
Which is fun.
Man, I have not played enough clerics. I need to play more clerics.
I think Twilight Cleric is one of the newer ones, and in the YouTube circles that I swim around in, a lot of people are saying, hey, by the way, this is so overpowered, it's broken, and I would never allow it at my table.
Sounds like what I'm going to play in our next game. I'm gonna kill off my character, please, next session, and I'll swap over. Outsized might.
Your character is currently dead.
Yeah, you can't kill my character. What are you going to do? Send him to hell? He's already not going. Outsized might. You have absorbed primeval magic that allows you, despite your relatively small stature, to embody the might of titanic creatures.
Okay, we didn't need to bring up my small stature, but okay.
This grants you the following benefits. Little but mighty. You gain proficiency in either the athletics or acrobatics skill. Powerful build. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the amount you can push, drag, or lift. And stalwart. You have advantage on saving throws against being moved or knocked prone. All of those on their own, not that interesting. All together, that's a fun little package to throw on a character. I like that.
It is. Now, it doesn't say, like, prerequisite size small or anything. Is it just mean that you're small compared to a giant?
Yes,
Yeah.
It is not literate. So that's the problem when they get narrative in their descriptions. They are saying small compared to a giant. There is no prerequisite for you actually being the small category size, which it's a very good point, Bean. I don't appreciate them mixing that terminology.
It says little but mighty, and like, what is it? There's like the goblin feat or whatever that usually...
Fury of the Small.
Fury of the Small, that specifically says you have to be small to have it.
Well,
and
yeah.
it's just the phrasing of this makes it seem like it's for someone like me who likes to play small classes, but really you'd want to be putting this on your Goliath or something. Like, you'd want to be putting this on
you actually wouldn't want to put this on your Goliath.
Yeah, because they already get all this and it doesn't
Sorry.
stack.
You want to put it on someone big and strong.
Big,
like,
yeah, nice, big and strong and
I
tough.
shouldn't have picked a specific thing.
But that's a good point. You want this on someone who is using strength as their primary
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Like, now, this does mean that you could easily put it on, like, oh, I want to play a goblin barbarian, but I don't want to worry about the fact that I'm a smaller size, and this could help kind of compensate. But it also, I don't know.
It's also
I love
one
the
of those
flavor.
feats. Yeah, it's one of those feats that I put into the sort of funny feat category, where like you could put this on your tiny gnome wizard, and it's just funny. Like, it's just a good time.
Swole wizard.
Yeah, he's just absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
It's like the chef feat. It's like, man, that's just fun. It's just a good time for someone to have the chef feat.
So now, that being said, I have some beef to pick with this
Oh.
feat. Because functionally, so a long time ago, many years ago, I think before even we started doing this podcast in any way, shape, or form, Wizards of the Coast released some Unearthed Arcana that was skill-based feats, where it was feats that gave you expertise in a skill, and it boosted the stat that normally governed that skill, and then gave you another feature usually related to that. So for instance, like the sleight of hand one was like you can do sleight of hand as a bonus action or something, and you get expertise in sleight of hand and you get a +1 to dexterity. Or like the stealth one was you get a +1 to dexterity, you get expertise in stealth, and then you can sneak out of cover and then back into cover and no one will notice you. Basically giving hard and fast rules for you are extra sneaky if nobody, if you were already hidden, you can dip, dodge, and weave between stuff.
Sure.
There was one for athletics, which was you gain expertise in athletics, you gain +1 in strength, and you gain the powerful build feature. And so based on that was once upon a time in Unearthed Arcana, this one, at least to me, kind of pales in comparison mechanics wise. Like, sure, you get a couple of other flavors, but I don't know if I'd rather have these other flavors and then instead of just having, the ones that the powerful build and then the extra stats on top of it.
True. That's one of the problems with feats is the stats and the weighing it out of is it worth it to forego my stat increase to get the feat, which I honestly think is sort of a design failing of D&D 5th edition specifically to begin with, where it's like picking a stat increase is almost always mechanically, numbers wise, like the quote unquote better option. But it's never as interesting as getting to pick a new thing to do, a new group of words to write down on my stat sheet to say, wow, I can do a thing no one else can do.
But then if you're just picking up random feats that you think are interesting and you haven't boosted any of your stats,
you start falling behind in the mechanics game. Yeah.
Yeah, the game is assuming you're going to be able to hit this often and this hard, and you're not going to be able to keep up with that, and you're just going to die.
Yeah. And that's frustrating to me because I feel like those two things shouldn't be weighed against each other. I feel like they should both be balanced out in their own circles so that I'm weighing what interesting things I can take against other interesting things I can take. And I'm weighing what stats I want to increase against other stats I want to increase in a more in a more fair comparison way. Because this is a great first level like variant human starting feat.
Do a variant human that's your own version of a Goliath, basically, but you're doing your own thing.
But it's really bad as like an 8th level or whatever, where you'd much rather just be taking your skill increase, probably.
I also don't get why you can get acrobatics from this. That makes no sense to me whatsoever, based on the flavor of what they're going for.
Well,
I mean, it makes sense if you're not playing a character that's strong.
I guess that must be the only reason it's there, is it so that a dexterity-based character would be willing to choose this?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
It
also
makes
leads
sense
into
to
the
me.
problem of like what even is acrobatics, which we don't have time to get into right now. Because like it already is such a convoluted issue of like what strength does acrobatics represent and what strength does athletics represent and how do they compare and contrast to each other.
Because I'm just going to say nothing else that's on here technically has to do with strength in a certain way. Like carrying capacity, sure, but that doesn't always come up in the same kind of way. Like the things that are on here don't necessarily, like, you don't have to have built a strong character for... Like,
I mean, yeah, and it could be to shore up the strength, the weakness of your character, in that you didn't build a strong character, but you still want to be able to carry what you need, and you don't want to get knocked around. I can certainly see that. Yeah.
Let's move on. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 left. We can do this, folks. We're right
We're in
at
the home
end.
stretch, kids.
At the end of the
Power
dungeon.
through.
We're almost to the boss room. Rune Carver Apprentice. You've begun studying the art of runecraft, which allows you to temporarily mark your items and imbue them with magic.
Hey, it's the thing you were
it's
talking
like
about.
what we wanted.
It's
Yeah.
the thing you wanted.
Whenever you finish a long rest, you can mark one non-magical weapon, armor, piece of clothing, or other object you can touch with a rune of your choice. You temporarily learn one first-level spell based on the rune you choose, as specified in the rune spells table. And you know the spell until you finish a long rest when the rune fades. I'm not reading this rune spells table because it's just a series of words in a row, and I also don't understand it. Why is it necessary to create another word that just means another word? Enemy, Bane. The enemy rune means the Bane spell. Why not just say the Bane spell?
You write the
Bane
Bane
spell.
Well,
the Bane
because it's a
spell
rune.
I know, but
It's
it
a
is adding
rune.
another layer on top of it that adds... There's no other part of this that cares about what the rune's name is. So then why does it exist? While
Yeah.
you're wearing or carrying the rune-marked object, you can cast the chosen spell associated with the rune once without using a spell slot or material component, and you can also cast the spell using any spell slots you have. That's cool. I like that. Your spellcasting ability for this feat is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma. Choose when you gain this feat. This is great. I like this as a basic way of introducing the concept of rune-marked objects. If we could then have the Wizard's class sort of like layer on top of this and have it be a combo with what this does, that would be really cool instead of just being two completely different things.
I'm guessing that was their intent.
But that's the thing. That's why I think the Wizard was lacking in those things that you wanted, is because they had already made a feat for this and went, well, we can't just give the Wizard this feat. We would want the Wizard to take this feat.
Oh, see, but if in the Wizard, it talked about whenever you put the friend rune on something, that's cool now, because now it interacts with this thing's table of runes and what they do and what they mean.
Like if it had crossover with this feat, that would be interesting.
So that taking the feat would give you extra benefits, but also the Wizard thing does stand on its own, but then they reference each other. So if you are the Wizard and you take this, you get you start double dipping. That would be cool.
But right now, functionally, what this feat does is it gives you an extra first level spell slot, which you can cast, which gives you a prepared casting from this list. Basically, every long rest you can change which spell this is. And there's a bunch of really good spells. And of course, as we said before, shield is on this list. Take shield. You won't be wrong.
Should almost always take shield. Unless you happen to know you're, I don't know, climbing a cliff and you might want to have Featherfall prepped or something like that.
Yeah.
Shield's probably going to be one of the better ones.
Yeah. Bless is also very good. Armor of Agathis. The problem is you want spells, because the free casting of this will always be first level, but a lot of these spells can be upcast. So it's going to be weird, because you'll want the ones that can be upcast to not be cast at first level, but you want the ones that can't be upcast to just be cast at first level like normal. So like shield doesn't upscale, so you'll always want it to be at first level, so this is fine. But if you cast Armor of Agathis for free, it gives you 5 temporary hit points, which at level 1 is amazing and potent. At level 10, not so much. And so I don't know, does it let you...
You can use spell slots you have.
So okay.
Yeah.
I was double checking the wording
Doesn't
to
have to
see
be
if
first
you
level.
didn't have to use the first level spell first and then another spell slot. So you can upcast this when you have it prepared. So that's actually good to know. That's very good.
I think it would be a really cool opportunity, like I was talking about having the Wizard overlap with it. If in the Wizard, the like rune crafting Wizard, it references its own list of runes it can put on things, but then it says something along the lines of
Any rune you have learned.
any runes that you put on things, like, don't fade when you finish a long rest. And now all of a sudden, it completely changes how this feat operates by having it be one part of that class's subclass ability. And that would be cool. That's all I'm saying, is that'd be pretty cool. Because that's basically what the next one goes into. Rune Carver Adept, prerequisite 4th level, and the Rune Carver Apprentice feat. So you can only take this feat after taking the Rune Carver Apprentice feat. Your skill with the Art of Runecraft has increased. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can now mark a number of objects equal to your proficiency bonus with a rune from the Rune Carver Apprentice feat. An object can have only one rune at a time, and you must inscribe a different rune on each object.
So basically you get up to 6 free castings of first level spells and 6 free prepared spells from this list of very good first level spells.
And you get to carry around a bunch of objects which each have
You get to carry around a bunch of rocks.
Yeah, a unique rune on them, which is fun flavor-wise, to say, like, I put a rune on my coat because I know I won't have to take my coat off when we go inside, but maybe the rune that I put on my staff, which they'll make me leave at the door, is a different rune. Like, I think
have a
be
rune
cool.
on my left shoe and a rune on my right shoe.
Yeah, now you're thinking with portals. All right, Soul of the Storm Giant.
We're getting there.
Prerequisite, 8th level. You've manifested divination abilities and tempest magic, emblematic of storm giants, granting you the following benefits. Maelstrom Aura. As a bonus action, you surround yourself in an aura of magical wind and lightning that extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. The aura lasts for 1 minute or until you are incapacitated. While the aura is active, attack rolls against you have disadvantage, and whenever a creature starts its turn within the sphere, you can force the creature's speed to be halved until the start of its next turn. Once you use this bonus action, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest.
So you don't even need to use your reaction to force them to lose their movement. That's very interesting.
It's just if they started their turn within it, you can choose to have it be halved, which I guess lets you not choose your friends.
Yeah, you can choose not to hurt your friends.
Yeah. That's really nice. I mean, does it need an 8th level prerequisite? I don't know, but it's pretty good.
Well, maybe the next part will give us a hint at that.
Storm's Oracle. You can cast the divination spell as a ritual without needing material components. Intelligence, wisdom, or charisma are your spellcasting ability for this feature. Choose when you gain the feat. Once you cast the spell in this way, you can't do so again till you finish a long rest.
So it's interesting to note. So divination is like a 4th level spell. So that makes sense that you would need to wait till 8th level to be able to take this feat. The interesting thing to note about it, though, is it doesn't teach you the divination spell. Like the other things have been updating their terminology to be like, and then if once you've used your free casting of this, you can use spell slots of the appropriate level to cast the spell. You don't have that here, and I don't know if that's just
as a ritual the once. You can't do it in any other way unless your class gives it to you or something.
So I don't know if that's on purpose or if that's
an oversight.
I guess if it's casting, if they just forgot to add that part.
It's weird.
Considering they specifically said you can only cast it as a ritual once, that's probably very much on purpose. So once again, taking an 8th level feat to learn a 4th level spell, but you can only ever cast it once, is that worth it? Is divination that potent?
No. At least has never been when I've played D&D.
Yeah.
It's not that good.
Let me see here. What does divination do?
Divination. I'll pull it up here. Your magic and an offering you put in contact with a god or a god's servants. You ask a single question concerning a specific goal, event, or activity to occur within 7 days. The GM offers a truthful reply. It's one of those, boys. It's one of those. I'm going to ask the dungeon master what we're supposed to do now. It's a tell me what the quest was again, please. Yeah. But it can always be a cryptic rhyme or an omen, so it can always give you stone cold nothing.
Okay, I know why. I know why they won't let you cast it again, because it's the spell that if you cast the spell 2 or more times before finishing your next long rest, it has a 25% chance of
failing.
Of
giving
failing.
You opposite, yeah.
So there would be no reason to give you free
Multiple
casting of it or multiple castings of it, because you don't actually benefit from multiple castings of it that much.
Yeah. I mean, again.
So this is just wheel or woe, but you get a sentence instead of a word.
Yeah.
But this is just augury.
Well, and you get to ask a specific god or god servants, which if you have, narrative reasons to do so, can matter. Yeah.
Right, but yeah. I see the reason I was initially disappointed is because I was confusing it with augury in my head, and I went, no, that's augury. What is this? And it's like, oh, it's just level 4 augury.
Yeah, it's not much. Like, it doesn't give you that much. Well, yeah. Yet again, just sort of underwhelming. Just a little I'm not feeling too spicy about it here, especially
like you
not
get
at
a
8th
baby
level.
aura and a free spell.
Yeah. The final one. Bean, are you still alive? Are you still there? Can you hear me?
What?
Wake.
Bean fell down the giant hole, and Bean is small.
Sorry.
I don't apologize.
I've been so injured in this dungeon. I've been saving my breath.
Yeah, none of us know healing spells, right?
No, I'm a bard. I know a lot of healing spells. I just haven't been using them on you. The final feat, and then the document is over. Vigor of the Hill Giant. Prerequisite, 4th level. You've manifested the resilience emblematic of hill giants, granting you the following benefits. Bulwark. When you are subjected to an effect that would move you at least 5 feet or knock you prone, you can use your reaction to steady yourself. You are then neither moved nor knocked prone.
Nice.
Hearty Health. When you are subjected to a spell that restores your hit points, you can regain additional hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. You can regain these additional hit points a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Okay, that last part got a little convoluted, but I really like this.
I actually like this one. Yeah, I actually think that's pretty fun. I think that's good.
I like it. A DM would have to explain to me every time. I would go, I use my Hearty Health ability, and then I know I would use it wrong for like years.
It's just whenever you get healed, which, I mean, if you can't heal yourself, you're just at the whim of anyone else who can heal you.
So does it do that every time? Because, like, let's say somebody's healing you 2d6. Does it do that per d6 or just
just whenever you are
flat.
subjected to a spell. Yeah. So whenever a spell happens, this happens once.
A spell that would heal you, you get, in addition to whatever else the spell heals you, you heal your Constitution modifier. So I'd hope
and so
plus 4, 3, 5.
When it's saying you can regain these additional hit points a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, what they're really just saying is you can do this as many times as you have a proficiency bonus. Like, you can do this whole...
So like at level 5, the level after you can take this, you can do this 3 times. I kind of don't like it because it's a little confusing because it is using both your Constitution modifier and your proficiency bonus to gauge the power of this. Yeah. When back in the day, before Tasha's
proficiency
and
bonus was in vogue.
Because before that was the only thing they used as a metric in the game, it used to be like your stats determined how many times you could happen. So this probably would have been your
Constitution modifier.
You can do this your Constitution modifier number times per day, and so the healthier you got, the more potent this would be.
Or if you had a magical item that like boosted it.
Yeah.
It's also only when you get subjected to a spell, so health potions don't count, which is pretty lame.
Health potions don't count. Hit dice don't count.
It should just say when you are magically healed,
I'd
from
like that.
a spell or a healing potion.
Yeah, that's nice.
I think that's significantly better. It makes all your health potions way better, which I know.
And then you might be able to semantically argue with your DM that, like, maybe you go into a part of the Feywild and
Song of Rest.
There's something happens and you're all magically healed. You might be able to say to the DM, "Would you consider this a form of magical healing?" And they're like, "Yeah."
You might be able to twist your DM's arm right into that.
I love that. That's great. That's what D&D's all about.
I also really like the Bulwark ability. It's a very unique ability that's sort of pseudo-referenced earlier in the thing of just if you are to be moved, you get to go. I'm not going nowhere.
Actually, I don't.
It's a good use of the word bulwark as well.
Yeah, good use of the word bulwark. Once again, this kind of dis-synergizes with one of the other feats if you had wanted to be I am the chunkiest boy.
Bulwark would be such a good subclass feature for like a a Japanese wrestling subclass.
Sumo?
A sumo subclass.
Yeah.
It would be so good.
So once again, in the wrestler barbarian subclass I did, one of the abilities is if you were to be moved against your will, you can use your reaction to say no, and you can do this a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier per day. So this feat is already better than that. I guess I'm just on. I got my finger on the zeitgeist. I got my finger on the pulse, and I designed things a year before Wizards of the Coast releases them, and having designed them a year ago anyway. So
quick, design a good Beastmaster.
No.
I like that if you have the bulwark feature, and you were fighting one of the barbarians that like to throw people, that you could just be like,
you didn't get thrown.
Actually, I don't get.
You know
thrown.
what? No.
Because like
that's very good.
How would you rule that? You're just so like, meh, and you stay there, or do you like go floppy and so they have trouble picking you up?
Especially if you fail the save, you fail the strength saving throw to get them to stop throwing you. And so they go through the whole motions of throwing you. You just slip out of their hand, and you're just exactly where you were.
You just use your strength to step onto the ground instead of being thrown.
They grab you around the waist and they make a throwing motion like a spear, like they're going to throw you like a spear. But when their arm comes down, it's just your shirt fluttering in the wind. And they're like, huh? And they look behind you, and you're just still standing there, unmoving, now just shirtless, just like, what?
You've only made me hotter.
You can't move me.
Once again, it's the 4th level prerequisite ones that we're like, yeah, these are cool. Do you think maybe the problem was with the 8th level ones is that they might have like gotten nervous and that's why they made them 8th level and then nuked them, like nerfed them down even more and just like over designed in that space?
I mean, it does just seem like feats, the general philosophy seems to be that feats are not meant to be uber powerful. Mm-hmm. Then, and if you're going to do that, then just don't make feats you can only get at 8th level. Like, just don't go that high.
I think it was Jeremy Crawford said in an interview I watched a couple of weeks ago where he was saying basically the premise of these feats is that they are classless class abilities is the kind of vibe he was saying they were going for.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, especially in the more unique functionality of some of these ones, like the Bulwark or the fear reaction for the Frost Giants and stuff like that.
I mean, feats are a great way of being able to customize and flavor any of your characters and to say, well, I actually didn't build a barbarian. I built a weak little wizard, but I am going to take this feat that helps make him strong. Or I built a barbarian and he is already strong, but I'm going to take this feat that makes him extra strong in like a specific kind of way.
Yeah, it's a good player-controlled like knobs and dials for your character.
Well, it's some of them are good and some of them are underwhelming. I mean, it's a lot like we did seem to have feats that we liked more in general, whereas like the classes seemed a little bit, we were just across the board kind of underwhelmed.
I would definitely take a bunch of these feats on different, like these, once again, like a good design space to be in is something that gets your creative juices flowing, where it's like, I'm seeing the vigor of the hill giant. And I'm like, okay, you make this just tank of a man, this tank of a thing that cannot be moved. They will not be moved. And this helps facilitate that. This helps you build around that.
Yeah.
And that's where you know they've struck the iron. You know, it gets you excited about stuff. And I think a lot of these feats are getting us a lot more excited than some of the subclasses there were.
Well, I think that's the point where we turn it over to our listeners. Travelers, what did you think? Which parts of this document made you excited? Do you think any of these are stronger than we thought they were and we missed out on the use case of it? Do you think any of the ones we liked are actually worse than we estimated them to be? Please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us what part of this was your favorite element of the document and what part do you think was the weakest that needs the most refining and fine-tuning. But for us, I think I can finally see the light of day ahead as we finally exited the dungeon. Oh, that was a long one. But I think we've all gotten loot. We defeated the boss at the end. And that means I think it's time for everybody to level up.
Nice. I got this great loot here. It's this like little sphere and it glows. It must be really powerful.
No, wait. Me too. I got one of those.
Wait,
that's crazy.
You guys got loot in your box? Oh, I just have chicken nuggets.
Oh,
that's a great loot.
I'll trade you this floating snow globe for those chicken nuggets.
Guys, I don't think I got a toy in my box.
Oh no.
Well, we're gonna go get Onog another Happy Meal. Until next time, travelers, keep on adventuring.
And nobody even died.
Where's Mercy?
We never speak of Mercy again.